I have found this page on this website, and it showed me here how to the data for the resistance on the solenoids, and it says S1, S2 between 11 and 15, and this is what I had: 13.6 and 12.8. And so what I did is I just connected these two cables here. Well, never mind, this is something else. This will be for the next test I'm reading, but for this one, to measure resistance, I was told I have to set the meter to the omega sign, and then click the white, red, positively the negative, and just have it here calculate. It takes a little bit to adjust this. So around 13.6, and that's what I had. So I was taught from reading that's how you test the solenoid first test, and there will be all the tests. So I'm just gonna go and learn as I go along what else I need to do. Looking, I found online how to test this shift solenoid when it has only one single connector. And so setup is 12 volts, and so positive side green and negative black, and they said it can also be done from the car, I guess with like longer wires, and but I brought the battery home to test it. And it says the solenoid should make operating noise. So it seems this solenoid is working. At the same time, I read somewhere that even if it's making noise, it still might not be work. But it seems that that's a rare occasion. But I can see it from here that when I do that test, how to test solenoid, shift solenoid, is to have a tube and then blow into it and then enable the solenoid. So right now I can blow through it, and the idea, I guess, is when I enable the solenoid I wouldn't be able, because it will be closed. So in its default position it's open, and when it's enabled it's closed. So it seems this solenoid is also passing this test. When I blow through the tube, it stops once I enable it. So I think this solenoid is good. I'm gonna move to the other one and then test the other 5. I just tested the other solenoid and it seems it's working too. So when I try to again enable it, and I can blow through. So by default, this actually is opposite of this solenoid. This one is I cannot blow when it's in its default state, and when I enable it, then I can blow through. So one thing I read online, that I have to look for these cables to make sure not these cables nothing is broken and they are not brittle. They seem fine, but I'm gonna keep looking. So I have removed these two and I tested, they seem okay. Now I'm gonna remove these two, test them, put these four back, and then remove these three, test them, and put them back. And some actually online also mentioned maybe to use can of air to blow through these holes. I'm not sure. I'm gonna check on this more. So this is the other solenoid I'm gonna test, and this one seems different from the previous ones. So this one had one connector and this one has two, and from my understanding I need to touch them both, one with positive and negative terminal from the battery, and then something here should be moving inside. They seem like some type of mechanism there, I guess, to go back and forth. And another thing is I have to remember, when I remove these two solenoids on the same side as the S1, S2, there were two pins came out from underneath this bracket. I have to remember to put them back. And those pins, they actually seem like one goes here, and they tell the solenoid the right positioning, I believe. So now, removing these two solenoids, I just want to make sure for myself how they go back. But I also had issue removing this solenoid, and I used one of these tools to kind of pry it out here. Removed all the solenoids, 7 of them from the instruction, and I already tested 2 of them. Now I'm gonna test the rest, the rest 4, and hopefully one of them is not working. So I'm testing this solenoid. What I did is I got these splices, bottom splices, and I think these were too small. I will get a little bigger size, but it seems like it's working. So I connected one one side and the other on the other side. So now I'm just gonna insert and see if it moves, and it seems like it's moving inside. the connection are not perfect, but it seems like it's working for testing. So testing the other solenoid seems like it's working too. Now I'm testing the solenoid valve SR. Again, I'm using this tube to blow the air, and then and this one seems working. So when I blow air, it's closed, and once I enable it, I can blow air. So this seems to be working too. I'm testing now solenoid valve SLU, and this one seems to be working as well. Hard to adjust this with one hand holding the camera, but I just tested and it worked. I think now it should be seen that it's working. Now I'm testing solenoid valve SL2, and it's also working, seems like. So now looks like all the solenoids are working, and I'm thinking just put them back, and then well, now I still need to test the resistance. I'm gonna test the resistance, and if they're all fine within the range, I will clean them up. And somebody mentioned on YouTube to blow air through the valve body holes. I'm gonna look more into it, see if that's a good idea before doing it. So I'm gonna do that. If it's a good idea, then I'm gonna look at all the cables. From my understanding, also the cables might be corroded, and so I'm gonna do that. Then I'm thinking clean them, clean the solenoids, clean the valve body, and put all together, and then just test them when the solenoids are installed with the battery from the car, and see what happens there. But I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that yet. I think that's how it works. That's the plan for now. I have tested the resistance, and I looked at the manual, and that's what I went by, and I wrote down the numbers here next to the diagram, and they all look fine. They all within the range, and from my understanding, to test, is just put one lead to one cable on this linear solenoid, for lack of a better word. I think this is probably a better name. And from my understanding, you can do it either way. You can do black on one side and red. I test them both. test it on both sides, black on one side and then red on the other, and then vice versa, and they all came same numbers, and seem like all solenoids are good. And so I read somewhere that it's possible that I need to just reset the computer and put new transmission fluid. I hope that's the case, but I'm gonna look at the harness and cables again. But I'm not gonna get new solenoids, even though the check engine light codes told me that the issues are the solenoids. But by testing them, they seem fine. I hope they are fine. So I'm looking at these cables now. They seem fine, and I was told that to remove this harness and inspect it for corrosion. So I was told I read that to remove this harness and inspect for corrosion, and it seems fine, but I'm gonna clean it and put some dielectric grease, I was told. And to remove it, there was a lever. I pull it down. This is the lever, and just moved it up. At this moment, I'm just gonna order the gasket for this pan and the filter, and put all of this together, clean this, and see what happens. I have cleaned the pan, cleaned these 4 magnets with the rag and alcohol, and then I went and got this filter kit from Advanced Auto. It was around $25, maybe with the coupon, maybe 23, something like that. And this is the old one and new one. Now I'm gonna put this gasket on, and I saw on YouTube person use this. And the idea is to spray this on the gasket, on the part that's gonna go on top of the pan, and this should keep it in one place. And once I spray it and put this on, I'm gonna put some type of something flat for overnight, so this stays in its place. I tested the gasket, and I put some bolts just to make sure it's the correct way, just for measurement, and it's fine. This gasket seems to be fine. Oh, and this is the filter number. From now I just wanna make sure it stays in one place before I put something flat on it, like a piece of wooden board. put these pieces of vinyl fence I had left over in the basement. So anything like that shape will work, and then put the battery for tomorrow. And just